All right, so in the last video, we talked about how we had non-destructive ways and destructive ways to edit a image or to remove the background. There's also destructive and non-destructive ways to edit an image within Photoshop. So if I go to, keep in mind I have this layer, the dog layer selected. Let's change that name, just call it dog. And I'm gonna go to image adjustments, and in here I can adjust the hue or change the color of my dog in the, just make them a little more red, and just play around with this a little bit and have some fun. Make them look like a, maybe a little Clifford, or let's completely go off the wall and do something like this. And there we go. So this is an example of a destructive way of changing the color of this dog. So why is this destructive? Again, I cannot change it other than pressing undo or going back in my history panel. So a better way to do it would be going to adjustments, my adjustments panel, and I will go to that same option, hue and saturation. Once I select that, notice that it pops up in properties, and now I can basically do the same exact thing. But hold up, I have a problem this time. This time everything's selected, including my background. I don't want my background to change. I want my background to stay the same color. So how do I fix that? There's this button right here. You hold down this little button, and what it does is say, hey, I'm going to apply this adjustment layer only to the image that is right under it. So now it's just applied to the dog layer. So I can get the same results that I had before, but now let's say I'm working for a client and the client says, oh, you remember how I said I needed the dog to be purple? Well, actually I needed it to be more of a blue color. Then you can say, oh, okay, no problem, and then just change it, and it's done. And like, that's it. It's non-destructive ways of editing photos. It's great. So what else is in the adjustment layer? Let's look at some of these. There's vibrance, so I can get rid of some saturation. Let's hit that bottom layer thing again so it can apply directly on top. So let's do saturation, and the saturation for the dog is going away, or I can increase the saturation to make him more vibrant, and I can increase the vibrance here without decreasing that much saturation, or keep the saturation at 0, increase the vibrance or decrease the vibrance. Then there is brightness and contrast. Let's press the button again. Brightness and contrast, there we go. Then we have things like levels. We'll get back into this at another time, but levels is a really good tool to use. It's a little bit more complex than brightness and contrast, but it has similar vibes. Like it's similar, but they're very different because levels just has more options. So there's filters in here. Photo filter, which is basically, like I showed you before, it's just a color overlay. Like you just put a color on top, and then you kind of tell Photoshop how to apply that color. So it's I wouldn't personally use that filter or that type of filter, photo filter. In most cases, you can get the same effect just by creating a layer style. and going in and doing color overlay. So it's very similar. All right, so that's pretty much it. Uh, we're gonna talk about thresholds in the next video. So stay tuned for that.